My nephew's second birthday is coming up soon and I want to make him a gift. I want to knit him a sweater, and right here I have a sweater from Target. It's in size 3T. Even though my nephew is only gonna be 2, he's quite a big boy, so I decided to go with a larger size. I'm going to use this sweater as a sizing template. I searched through my stash and I found 2 options for the yarn that I'm going to use. They are both from Expression Fiber Arts. The first one is 70% superwash merino wool, 20% nylon and 10% silk. And the second one is 42% fine merino wool, 43% superwash merino wool and 15% donegal. I'm not sure what that is, but this yarn looks beautiful and it feels nice to touch. I got all of these yarns from a friend of mine and a viewer of my channel, Georgina from Bakersfield, California, sent them to me. Georgina, thank you so much for these lovely yarns. And I also want to crochet a teddy bear for my nephew. I'm not really good at making amigurumi, but I made this teddy bear last year. I wrote down the pattern, though I never published it anywhere. And now I want to make the same bear for my nephew. I still have the same yarn, and that's what I'm going to use. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm simply gonna use the stockinette stitch for the sweater, and I'm going to roll these 2 skeins into yarn cakes and knit samples and just see how they look, how they feel, and which one I prefer for the sweater. I knitted my samples, and this is what these yarns look like in stockinette stitch. This yarn has tiny specks which are similar to the ones over here. I think they are both very pretty, and there are certain yarns that are better for crocheting and others that are better for knitting, and I think these 2 yarns from Expression Fiber Arts, this one is June Pearl and this one is Fool's Gold. They both are intended for knitting. They look very beautiful in knitted fabric. The needles that I used are these ones. They are pretty old. I used to knit with them during my teenage years, and they used to be my mom's, but my mom doesn't knit anymore, so now they are mine. I don't know what size they are, but it doesn't really matter because this is not a tutorial, this is a vlog style video. But I'm going to use these needles to knit my baby sweater. For the ribbon, I did 2 by 2 on both of these samples, and I think that's what I'm gonna stick with for the sweater. I will also use a 2 by 2 ribbon. I like both of these samples, I like both of these yarns, but I think I'm gonna go with this one. So I'm gonna make some simple calculations now, cast on and start knitting. Now, I'm not an expert on how to knit sweaters. This video is just for entertainment. So the calculations I do are very, very simple. In this sample, I have 30 stitches. I cast on 30 stitches and then I knitted this sample. So I'm gonna count it like this. So that's 1, 2, 3, and it's a bit larger than that sweater. So I'm gonna do 30 stitches, 30 stitches, and over here 20. That's 80 in total. I'm going to cast on 80 stitches and start knitting. I know different people cast on differently. This is the way I do it. My mom taught me to do it this way when I was a child, and I never learned any other ways. So this is the way I do it. And here are my 80 stitches. Now, another thing that my mom taught me early on is to always slip the first stitch. No matter what design I'm making, I'm always just slipping the first stitch. And another thing is always working the last stitch as a purl, again, no matter what the design is. And I've been doing it that way my entire life. I started knitting yesterday, and this is how much I got done. And today I'm going to the knit and crochet club at my local library, and I'm bringing this with me. I'm gonna put a stitch marker because I'm curious to see how much knitting I'm gonna get done during this meeting. And usually when I go to crochet meetups, I don't get much done. That's because I'm talking to other people. I'm curious to see what other people are crocheting or knitting. And oftentimes when I get home, I realize that in my own work I made a mistake because I was distracted, because I was talking to others, and then I have to unravel or frog my work. But this is a very simple stitch. There's nothing complex here. So yeah, I hope it's gonna go well and I'll get some work done during this meeting. And this is my outfit for today's meeting. Every time I go there, I wear a different crochet garment. In a way, I'm putting up a crochet fashion show for the ladies at my knit and crochet club meetings. This is my flowers lacy top, which I made a few or several years ago. It is worked with 100% mercerized cotton, and I do have a detailed video about this top if you'd like to find out more. I'm back from my knit and crochet club meeting, and this is how much I got done. Quite a lot actually. But a little mishap happened over here with the yarn. At first it was going in stripes quite beautifully, but now I got this white blob over here. Well, I decided not to fix it. I'm just gonna keep it that way and continue knitting. And at this point, I'm gonna start shaping the arm openings. Last night, I finished the back panel. I think it looks pretty good, but for some reason, I got a letter I in the middle of it. I need to knit the front panel as quickly as possible because I did not make any notes on how I did the decreases or the shaping of the neckline, so I need to knit the front while all of those are still fresh in my head. So last night I started working on the front panel. So all of this I actually knitted in just 2 days. And I used to think that knitting is slow in comparison to crocheting, but wow, I think that's pretty good that I knitted it in 2 days only. I now finished the front panel, and unlike on the back panel, I did not get a white blob in the middle, but you do see that the stripes over here are thicker than all the way around. I really wish the stripes worked out evenly on both the front and the back panel, but it is what it is. I knitted these from 2 different skeins of yarn, and I guess you can't really predict how things are going to turn out, but I'm gonna continue knitting my sweater and it's just gonna be this way. I want to show you the sloped bind off that I did on the shoulders. I'm quite proud of it. Just look how neat it is. Now the next step is to make the sleeves, and I was debating whether I should stitch the front and the back panels together and then knit the sleeve from here down, or if I should knit the sleeves separately. I decided to knit the sleeves separately and then stitch them in. And I think I'm going to knit 2 sleeves simultaneously so that I make the increases for the width over here and then decreases for the arm shaping over here simultaneously. I don't want to take any notes, and I probably will forget how I made those increases, decreases. That's why I'm gonna knit the sleeves simultaneously. I also started working on the teddy bear. I already crocheted the head. I'm going to make exactly the same teddy bear as this one. I made this teddy bear last year. I wrote down my own pattern, and that's what I'm following to make this one. So it's exactly the same pattern. I'm using the same yarn, the same hook size. Everything is the same. However, notice how much bigger this head is compared to this one. The amount of stitches is the same. What's different is my crochet tension. And actually, if I look close, I can see that the stitches over here are tighter than they are over here. Now, I'm not really an expert on amigurumi, but I think when you make amigurumi, you should crochet quite tightly. So because this head came out bigger than this one, I actually used a slightly larger size safety eyes on this teddy than this one. And luckily I have a whole set of different sizes of safety eyes. And also I used a safety nose instead of embroidering one, but I feel like I should have put this nose just a tiny bit higher. But again, it is what it is. I'm gonna continue crocheting this teddy bear, and he's gonna come out slightly larger in size than this one. And this is actually one of the reasons why I don't like having multiple crochet projects going on. I know many crocheters have several items they work on, but I don't like that. I prefer to focus on one or two projects only. And that's because if I take a significantly long break from working on whatever it is I'm making, my crochet tension might change. I needed both sleeves and they curl up, so I pinned one over here to show you how I shaped it. And I didn't make any special calculations or anything. I think in English there is an expression to play it by ear. Well, I sort of played it by eye. And I hope it's gonna work out fine, but I will only know for sure when I stitch everything together. And here is the progress on my teddy bear. I crocheted the arms, and I still need to make the body and legs. And here is another update on the sweater. I'm moving towards the end of this project. The sleeves are done. I stitched them in. The only part left is working the neckline. And teddy bear is almost done too. I need to fill in the body, and then I can stitch the arms, the body, and the head together. Now both the sweater and teddy bear are finished, and I decided to knit a matching sweater for the teddy bear. I think it looks really cute. There are a few more things I want to say about my project. Overall, I'm happy with the way the sweater turned out, considering that I'm not an advanced knitter, I'm more of a beginner. But there are two things that I'm not happy with. First is this blob of white on the back. That kind of looks like the capital letter I. I have no idea why this skein of yarn worked out that way. The front looks pretty good with consistent stripes. And the other thing that I don't like is the seams. This is something for me to learn and improve upon. When I crochet garments, my seams are pretty nice and neat, but not so with my knitting. So this is something for me to learn and improve. Now the teddy bear turned out slightly larger than the original one, even though I used the same yarn and the same hook size. And that happened because my tension was not as tight as over here. And just like with knitting, I'm not an expert on amigurumi. And I kind of forgot that when you make amigurumi, you should be crocheting quite tightly. And you can even see the stuffing through some holes over here. But yeah, that's another thing. But overall, again, I think it's a really cute teddy bear. I think it's a really nice size for a 2-year-old child to hold and squeeze and cuddle. So yeah, I think my nephew is going to like this teddy bear.